On December 24th, 2021, the church commemorated the watch night of the birth of Christ. That night, Reverend Father Martin Peter Liobasi was the messenger of God at the St. George's Catholic Church, Moreton Barracks in Freetown. In his message, the man of God talked about the birth of Christ in 3 different ways: history, mystery, and majesty. Using some interesting stories and scripture references, Father Basi explained the birth of Christ in a clear-cut manner. According to him, the birth of Christ is real. It is not any abstract event. It occurred. For the news in detail, let us hear from my reporter.
In his homily on December 24, 2021, Reverend Father Basi reflected on the scripture passage in Matthew chapter 1, verses 18 to 25, which tells us about the birth of Christ. In his reflection, the man of God talked about the birth of Christ in 3 different ways: history, mystery, and majesty.
Tonight, we shall reflect on the birth of Christ in 3 different stages: history, mystery, and majesty. For sure, the birth of Christ is real. It happens within a time. And what we have in our gospel reading in the Gospel of Matthew gives us the explanation. And so it is an historical event. It's not any abstract event. We come now to the mystery. That even when Jesus Christ was born, many people refused to believe. Many doubted. Even when the angels informed the shepherds, they decided to come and see for themselves in order to clear up their doubts. And even when Jesus Christ lived among his people, they doubted. Even his actions were questioned. And so, in a mysterious way, God came down and took our human form. Sinful as we are, it's a mystery simply because nobody will consider God coming down so low, taking a form of a human person, incarnating himself in us. And that brings us to the 3rd part, that the birth of Christ leads us to experience his majesty. That this celebration of Christmas is in twofold. As we commemorate his birth, the first birth that occurred 2,000 years ago, we are now preparing ourselves for his second coming. And during his second coming, all of us will realize his majesty. That when he comes in glory, escorted by his angel, then he will judge us.
In addition, the man of God told stories to explain why God of all creation lowered himself to the level of a human being. Among those stories was the story of a king who fell in love with his maidservant but did not know how to approach her.
It happens in another story that a king fell in love with one of his maidservants. And so he called together his ministers, his Senate members, and said, "Look, I've fallen in love with this girl, but I don't know how to approach this girl." And some said, "Oh king, you own all of us. Everything in this kingdom is yours. Just go and tell her, hey, girl, come." And she will come. If she refuses, then she's going against the dictates of your power. And the one said, "Just order us to go and drag her to come." But the king did not fall for any one of these. Instead, in the quietness of his very being, he decided one night, when everybody was asleep, he disguised himself and then moved away from the palace and then went straight into this guy's house and then proposed. And then the girl accepted him. And then the king went back to the palace. He called the Senate again and said, I have done my assignment. How? Okay. I went last night. I disguised myself like any of the peasants. And she accepted my proposal. And now I will call her to come to tell her that the man that went to you last night is me. Why am I saying all these stories? It's for us to know about the thoughts of God. This God that is so powerful. This God that created the universe. If that God would have come and said, look, I am here now with you people, I want to stay with you people, who would accept him? Who become afraid? And so God decided to come in that lowly nature, equating himself to us, taking a form of a human person, being born like any one of us. In fact, in a stable, a place that is full of odor that you and myself would like to be. That is where. But just look at the way he came. God came into Christ, and Christ took our nature. He ate, drank, slept, got all the experiences except sin.
Moreover, Father Bassey talked about how most of us celebrate Christmas by focusing on the minimal things and neglecting the greater option, which is Christ. In conclusion, the man of God highlighted some moral lessons which we must learn from the birth of Christ.
And what is the moral lessons for us today that we are supposed to take home? That one, as we celebrate this Christmas, we need to share the peace of Christ with our brother, with our sister, with those we are living with those outside your fence. And we are supposed to stretch our hands and support them. Let them too celebrate. Despite the difficulties, let them feel being loved. Let them feel being taken care of. Let them feel being part and parcel of this of our universe. As Christ came so lowly, we too, we have to move from our status quo. We have to go down so low to them that they will experience this Christmas. Let us have this night as the night of our experience in encountering God as a human person.
GMBC News, Bodala High reporting from Freetown.